it's new. It's it's early days for them. You can't put that kind of pressure like you're gonna be putting on Spacestation on their shoulders. So give them time. But the expectations are kind of set going into this match. So let's go through the ban phase, find out where we're gonna be playing.
Well, we do still have 2 possibilities left. It's on SSG, and of course they're gonna force it to Clubhouse. So Tempo Storm going to play SSG on Clubhouse. Now, you could say that, well, SSG have continued to show everything they do on Clubhouse, so we can counter-strat that. So far, that has had a very poor track record of success for teams. So this is even more, in theory, SSG favorite. Of course, anything could change here. But SSG, needless to say, is very, very good at Clubhouse.
Here's the thing. Clubhouse is the... and by the way, I have washed my hands. Clubhouse is the map where we saw SSG manage to beat Ninjas in Pajamas in the 6 Invitational Finals. It was a 7-5 victory over NIP, and that's part of why they're world champions. They're not the only only Titan teams that they've managed to beat on Clubhouse either. There was also Na'Vi, as well as Evil Geniuses. Evil Geniuses, that was in Pro League, and it was a 7-2, but they did manage to beat Na'Vi 7-3 at the Invitational. So, looking at recent history, Spacestation good on this map. What do you guys think? Who's going to win it? Why don't you go ahead and inform us?
Yeah, I think that's about how we expected it to go. Unfortunately for Tempo Storm, it's a tough matchup. I mean, there's 3 really big teams in North America right now between TSM, SSG, and DZ, and so that's quite a few. That's about half your matches because they have to fight 6 other teams. So yeah, that would be exactly half their matches are against really strong teams. Luckily for them, there's no relegations this season, so they could just try and really work on stepping up their game. Obviously, prize pool is dependent on your position, but at the same time, they at this point just need to work on improving. Just improve. If anything, treat these as really important scrims.
So I just actually want to say, the prize pool is for first place. It's gonna be $50,000. Second, $22,500. $16,500 for third and fourth. For fifth and sixth, it's $14,000. For seventh and eighth, it's $12,000. So I mean, you're getting something for everywhere. But of course, that first and second spot are significantly better off than everybody else in terms of total prize pool acquisition. But it goes up by the double spots for some of the lower slots. Only first, second, and third actually, first and second really are the only standouts when it comes to that. Everything else is in sets of 2. So you have to make serious progress to up your payday.
And of course, that was just because the prize pool redistributed from the Sao Paulo finals being canceled. So that was boosted the prize pool for first and second place. We'll see what they go with for the bans here. I hope we don't see a Thatcher ban, but we certainly might.
Please no.
Thatcher Maverick, right?
Oh, well, okay, we're starting with Hibana, which is already bad, right? Because Hibana's good for multiple things, like castle barricades, for example. Let's see what else.
All right, so at least no Thatcher or Maverick ban.
Yeah, that is something. Capitao is a pretty standard ban on a map like Clubhouse, as he is very powerful here. Goyo, you were talking about it last map, Devin.
I think it's a good idea if he's really, really a problem for you.
And he has been a problem for so many teams. Echo, of course, could be banned out. So, all right, well, we've got a Mira in play if somebody decides to bring her. But I talked about this last North American Playday. Even when Mira is left unbanned, she very rarely is actually useful.
Especially depending on the map.
Yeah, and it's depending on the map, yeah. But she's just in general, she's very rarely actually useful. She's going to be brought right out the gate here from Tempo. We'll see how that works out. Might be a 6-pick. I mean, we even see that very frequently. We see Mira get 6-picked to do something else.
Yeah, you just want to kind of make them think they've got to deal with that specifically. And with Hibana banned, it's actually even stronger because that's one of the counters to the windows. They're wondering
where's Zofia?
Yeah.
I guess that's why they banned Goyo. So they didn't have to.
Makes sense.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many.
That is one thing you can do.
Didn't you see the SS vid? I haven't. I'm uninformed. Are you informed, Devin?
No, it's probably a social media thing.
All right. Well, I'll have to give that a look-see later on, I suppose. For now, we've got 2 C4s, 2 sets of barbed wire, 1 shield, a decent array of utility on Tempo. You generally want to have like 2 sets of barbed wire just to prompt you if someone's trying to like sneak in through a blind spot. The shields are universally useful. You can put them on almost any angle and hold it better. The mirror was stuck, so no 6 pick. See the mirror windows go up.
5 seconds remaining.
Looks like 1 by blue. I'm curious where he's going to put the other.
I mean, might be
Change.
one of the usual on the church wall here.
Yeah, so sometimes we see double mirror window on the church wall, 1 on each corner. Looks like it's going to be 1 in the middle here for this round. So they are getting a lot of control over in that area. There is no castle being brought. Goyo is banned, so, and I gotta say, amen for that. So it's going to be a little bit, probably a more fast-paced attack than we're used to seeing in this meta. There is also no Mute and Mozzie being brought, which is different. And that doesn't have to happen, but with Thatcher in play, they're less effective.
Yeah, it seems like they're relying more on getting intel themselves than on countering the intel, because they're bringing the Mira, the Maestro, and the Pulse. So they're really looking to get that information themselves rather than spending time denying SSG, because they know SSG are already really good at droning and they might be able to just get around those anyways. They just want to see SSG coming.
This is the most liberated from that 20-second meta match we've seen so far coming out of the ban phase, at least in North America, I'd say. So
happy to see it.
It's going to be, yeah, happy to see it. It's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be hopefully much more fast-paced. But that's all forecasting. We'll have to wait till it actually gets in the action. Drops getting opened up by SSG. Bosco's looking to maybe push his way into Dirt Tunnel. He's got to be careful, though. There's somebody holding on to that right now. Slow going, but control established.
Yeah, they're doing a good job just making sure they clear and secure everything, and they've got 1.5 minutes left, so it's doable. I like this double floor. I always love double floor bucks, because I think that's where you can really play a lot safer on your bucking from C4s, because they're not going to throw it up 2 floors.
Yeah, I mean, you might... Maybe somewhere you can get vaulted on something, and it's possible, but I seriously doubt it.
That's
I seriously...
so dicey.
Yeah, I've never seen it done, and I seriously doubt it. So yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely really, it's much smarter. That EMP will clear out ADS, the nade will follow, the rotation, perfectly timed there by creators. He gets out with just a little bit of damage incurred. But that does mean that SSG has control of blue. And look at this, the attack is coming much sooner than usual, about 50 seconds. And SSG is already starting to take control of one of the prongs of their attack. Cautiously slow though. They haven't established full control just yet. It's a very dangerous position for Canadian.
I like that they're trying to secure it from multiple sides as well. You've got the drop into oil pit, you've got control blue for the stairs. They're really just looking to make sure that they can pinch anyone out of this area as best as possible. They've just got to worry about things like the church wall, the church wall into blue. And it looks like they want to push from the moto hatch as well as stock hatch. This is overall looking like a good push, but 15 seconds left to do it.
Here's the drop, and it's Fultz all in blue. It looks like it's entirely blue for SSG. Fultz gets the entry. Rampy adds to it. Control well established, moving into Armory. There's going to be a plant behind the box, but Tempo is fighting back. They're doing significant damage on 000. There needs to be coverage, but it's just barely not going to be enough. Mark with the perfectly timed push, and Tempo Storm gets the retake.
Mark just had to go for that one last kill as well, but nicely done for the stand-in player. He struggled stats-wise last match, but that was a good run for him. Staying in Dirt Tunnel at first and letting his teammates distract before he runs out to be able to get the kills, and those shelves helping protect him just a little bit as he runs across. That was a tough fight. You saw a lot of smoke in the air, a lot of difficulty in seeing what was going on, and I think that boosted it a little bit, but that was down to obviously hitting a shot. So we know Maestro is such a strong op.
Okay, so we were at about 50 seconds when SSG hit the pause button. And the question is, why? Why did they hit that pause button? Answer, the Mira window. Weird as that is to say, because it's been so long since we've had Mira be really, truly relevant, but she wasted, just by placing a Mira window, she wasted a solid 30 seconds and pushed us back into that 20-second meta without a Mozzie, a Mute, a Castle, or a Goyo being brought. So you can see it everywhere, I suppose. And this is what, okay, you talked about how, you get the Goyo bans if it's really a problem. Well, now that means you liberate Mira, and then she can be that same exact issue for you. So, I mean, well played to Tempo, picking up on that one. Well played to Tempo as a team just for holding on to the position, using that Mira window to good effect. Delaying it to the point where SSG didn't have a choice anymore. They had to plant on a 000. That's never fun. And at that point, you've locked up one of your players. You're losing too many players on the actual entry. SSG put up some good frags early on, but Tempo started that retake just the right moment. And that moment, again, is right at the end of the round.
And I think some of what contributed to that as well is the Hibana ban. Had you had Hibana, you would have been able, you wouldn't have had Maverick to open hatches, you would have had extra time there, plus you would have been able to deal with the mirror window a lot more effectively, unless they had an angle to shoot off the X-Kairos from inside church or something like that, but, you know, it just would have been a more effective round overall, had that ban also not been in play.
You know what, Devin? You know what I'm wondering? I'm wondering what happened to the Ash charges, because that mirror window was on an unreinforced wall.
Very good point.
Why didn't we see those Ash charges come out? What were they used on? That's what I'm curious about. But, I mean, of course, I didn't see him. I'm not going to see him for now, so I can only wonder. But we do know that that could have been a fix. Maverick, Thatcher, and Thermite all using their ability on that wall. Double EMPs being utilized, which means that there'll be less EMPs to clear out other things later on. But with only a mute and no Mozzie being brought, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, they probably didn't even need to use that much utility to clear it, but you know, it was relatively uncontested.
Yeah, true. And there's no Kaid, there's no Bandit. It's just the mute here. So the single EMP would have been good enough, but of course they don't know that, so better safe than sorry.
Yeah, it's just efficiency at this point. Even they may have lost a little utility, but they gained some time and not messing around with it.
I think you and I can agree on this one. In this day and age, time is a more valuable resource.
Oh yeah, the one
utility.
EMP, sure.
Yeah. Use an extra EMP. Save yourself a few seconds. Why not? I mean, just go for it. I mean, we don't know that it necessarily will save seconds, and we don't know that it won't. And they don't know that either, so just go for it. So,
see, Womai doing a job up here with the angle.
Yeah, this is a really good position for Womai to be in, and that shield's going to make his position even more powerful.
This is why those shields are so strong now. He can peek out without any real risk to himself.
Yeah, and while they are two-way, it's super hard to see someone on the other side of the shield sometimes.
They're almost
especially if it's a go-away. I mean, yeah, they're not entirely, of course, but it's very, very difficult. So, workshop wall opened up. Good efficiency here from SSG. They've managed to get both of the sought-after walls opened. That flash is going to full stun the Maestro. That's Creators. And Fultz will get Butters. That's the player inside a garage, which means there's no garage control, at least on the top side, for Tempo, and that's well known now. Creators eating some damage, as will Dream. Creators has been downed as well. So here we go. SSG in full control. Crazy and Mark, the last two defenders, and they need to work a miracle here if they want to make anything happen. Crazy will miss his C4 and his shots. Mark's the last one now, fighting on the rotate, but this is not an advantageous position for him, and SSG will clean up shop. Oh no, it looks like Crazy was even downed by his teammate. Unfortunate, but there it is. SSG take their first round.
A lot of credit to that was doubting the Womai first, taking him out and then continuing to put pressure on Garage, stopped them from having to worry about any kind of flank and allowed them to really pressure onto the server side and just be able to get in to force them to fight fights just through holes in the wall and tough angles to be able to play against, because you had players coming from every side. You had players in construction connector, you had players coming in through servers, they had the possibility of playing in the garage as well. You were fighting all the angles at once. They even have to worry about, is someone going to flank me up cache stairs? So it was a really tough spot to be in because of those early picks. Well, not early, but you know, the initial picks that they were able to get on Tempo just allowed them to pressure very effectively. And also they really weren't getting traded off. And you saw even the team down just because of the franticness of trying to defend that. I mean, I like that they were trying to bunker down, but the fact that they weren't really contesting the wall too much also hurt them a little bit. The Maverick himself didn't have to spend very long on the wall to do the whole Maverick tricking thing, because they didn't really do much to contest it, because, you know, they wanted to go with the mute instead of going with a Bandit or a Kaid. And I mean, I understand, you know that wall's going to get down, you don't want to waste a lot of effort on it, but that might have helped them. So this time they are going to bring Crazy on the Bandit, and I think that's the smart adaptation if they play it correctly.
If he can work it, yeah, that's the difficult thing, is if, because there is that Maverick in play.
But they saw there's no Zofia, so there's nothing to stun him. Capitao also banned, so the two main counters to him being the Bandit trick are gone.
Well, I'd still say that Maverick is a hard counter. He's going to repel upside down, he's going to open up the wall the same way he did last time, and then...
Sure, but that burns so much time.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though.
Do that now.
That's the thing, though, Devin. It'll burn the same exact amount of time as they did last round, because SSG were thorough enough on their clear of the wall, but they used all of their tools. They used it as if there were a Bandit, or as if there were a Kaid. So I don't think it's going to burn that much more, for SSG at least. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. Let's find out what happens. We're about to. Here comes the Maverick trick, the EMP. Maverick will force the Bandit back. The Thatchers will force the anything that could be thrown off the wall, and the wall's open. So
there we go.
They did the same thing, and that way that SSG does that with all three of those operators using their gadgets like that, that accounts for Kaya Electric Claws, Bandit batteries, and Mute Jammers.
Well, at least in this case, they have a C4 in Crazy's hands, if nothing else.
Yeah, so he can contribute in some way. I mean, also Bandit's just, he's a fragging machine, so.
Yeah.
As far as operators go, he's one of the best to have if you're just trying to win gunfights.
So not a bad position, but good time efficiency from Spacestation. Like you said, the three operator coordination, that's the kind of coordination I was talking about for clearing utility that you need to see in this current meta.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Devin, and I think you're right. That sort of practice that SSG is showing there is indicative of where we find ourselves in the meta and their awareness of efficiency over utility. Early kill here for SSG. We hit about the half round mark and Dream's gone, just like that. Trying to hold on to Master, but not having a good go of it. Fultz will get one down in Lounge. Mark looking the wrong way. He challenges Garage, but gets away with his life. He should have been punished for that. Fultz should have at least lost HP for that aggressive angle play. But it's actually Creators who loses the HP. He's had to relocate to server, and he's going to be down. Bad timing there to be rotating. Bosco gets a Claymore kill. Creators out of it right now, and there you go. The finished off kill, it's all on Crazy, and he won't even get one. A flawless round for SSG, an absolutely dominant one at that.
Well, it's just that coordination, that practice, that smooth play that we expect from SSG, and that is what you're seeing is world champion performance right there. They know what they need to do. They're doing it. They're efficient at it. They know how to communicate effectively with each other. Their IGL slotted in, nicely with the way Canadian works. As a hard breach, IGL is obviously there's other people contributing as well to the callouts. It's a well-oiled machine, and you're seeing that. You didn't see that so much the first round, but now that they go back to church again, we'll see if that makes a difference. We could see that 6th pick over there, but it's not going to be over to Mira actually. Despite you pointing out that Mira was actually a big part of that early success, I think they're anticipating SSG dealing with it better this time and going for something a little bit different. Lesion, I'm not seeing as much of effectiveness from Lesion now due to his nerf. His gun, thankfully, is still just as good, so there is that, and he still has some utility on this site, especially with Dirt Tunnel, but the lack of the line of sight thing down to be able to indicate if someone stepped on those good mines means you have to rely so much more on sound, and depending on the map, sound isn't always the most reliable thing sometimes, and so that's a tricky thing to play with.
Sound isn't always reliable, that's for sure. I mean, that's typical Siege, I guess. But the big nerf on that Lesion was definitely the information. Because you used to be able to just know exactly where someone was because of the Lesion trap, and now, since you don't have that ability, since those notifiers, like the location of the Lesion, it diminishes over distance. You can't tell if someone on the other side of the map stepped on a Lesion trap. I don't know. Sometimes the sound is reliable enough. Like if you're if you're a dedicated Jaeger and you're playing in like blue. And you can usually tell between the two hallways, whether it's Oil Pit Hall or New Blue Hall. You can usually tell, but that's not reliable. It really isn't. So, yeah, big nerf for sure. Bottom floor defense yet again. Like you said, no Mira, and I agree. I think that they're going to adapt on that. So the Mira probably wouldn't be a smart pick anyway. Nothing really changing so far apart from that for tempo, because their setup is the same. I mean, they're just going to be holding downstairs. No roaming going on. Waiting it out. And I get the waiting strategy in this meta, but they're also not using tools that like emphasize the meta. And granted, yeah, Thatcher's in play, so why would you do that? But I don't know. Is that the right decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tricky. You really need to know, okay, here's how they're going to approach their attack. We need to be ready in positions where they can't shoot us out, but then we can catch them as they enter. Because there's only so many entry points. Luckily for SSG, there's quite a few of them, though. And you know that they want to take blue. This is the usual spot. They always pretty much are going to put pressure on blue, at the very least on generator. But it looks like they want to put a bit more main stairs pressure than they had in the previous time. And so that is something that they're going to have to worry about. It looks like there might have even been a hole open in that first panel of Arsenal wall. So we could see a pressure from blue combined with a rush in, possibly into Arsenal.
Yeah, we could see that, yeah. It's very possible. I mean, it definitely. I think their blue is still the focal point here.
It seems that way.
They're leaving thinking on that main stairs. So there's options there. You could do it onto church, or you could do it onto Arsenal. It's really up to you when you're going for the execution. And I think it's the sort of thing that you have to gauge like right when you're up against it. Jaeger has not been thrown off of blue yet. And the EMPs haven't cleared the ADSs either, which makes getting him out of that position much more difficult. I think they still want to do that. But yeah, Thinking Nade's rotating to do it right now. Thinking Nade's going to EMP above the ADSs, and the nade is going to follow right after. There it is. But the rotate is well timed by Creators. So well done to Creators staying alive there. He'll be able to assist his team later on. But that does mean that SSG has blue control. It's very late, though. I mean, look at the time.
I think because they were looking to set up some other positions besides blue, they took a little bit extra time. But now they have that hole open to be able to deal with a little more effectively the lines of sight into Arsenal.
Ooh, 2 kills for Tempo, and suddenly SSG's in a bad spot. Only 15 seconds, too. That's not going to be great. Thinking Nade from main stairs gets 1, but Mark gets his 2nd. SSG gets 2 at least. Thinking Nade really the star of the show here, but Volt's adding, and there's 3 for Thinking Nade. What is happening? Crazy, with no kills yet, has to find 2. He gets his first, and he wins on the 0-0. Time coming to the rescue of Tempo Storm. And they will win their 2nd round, both of them being on the basement.
Well, I mean, I was saying that Legion isn't necessarily that great now, but as you heard towards the end of the round, as he's trying to get the diffuser, he's hitting goo mine after goo mine after goo mine. You can't plant one with one on your foot. He was trying to fight with one on his foot. That wasn't exactly, the winning gadget, but it certainly was icing on the cake of what looked like, the start of a failed attack due to those initial 2 kills. Also, the failed play in Dirt Tunnel, trying to kill the Maestro with the grenade, that just tipped him off, and he was able to turn around and get the kill. That was unfortunate. Like I said, they were trying to set up more positions and more attacks from different angles, from main stairs, dirt, things like that. But they just seemed to lack the pressure that they needed on blue in a timely fashion. Like I said, they got it much later in the round as well. I mean, they've got it practiced, but it didn't come soon enough. They spent too much time setting up other possibilities, spreading themselves a little bit thin, and then losing those initial blue fights ultimately cost them due to some of the predictability. And I get they were trying to be a little more unpredictable by having the other angles of approach. It just wasn't fast enough.
Yeah, I think that the main story is the speed, it not being fast enough. I mean, Crazy didn't have to clutch there, really. He just had to wait, right? And he did. He won. So good for him. But it's, he won off of a symptom of the actual slowness of that attack. And the slowness of that attack strategy. Well, that's another symptom of the meta. So I don't know. It's a weird. It's a weird situation. The weirdest part about it is the operators being brought by Tempo are not compounding the issue for SSG necessarily, right? Because then that last round, there was nobody really slowing things down too abundantly, apart from Creators in blue, who managed to waste a decent chunk of time just by forcing the Thatcher Thinking Nade to rotate. So, props to Creators for that, but it wasn't even that much time, and there was plenty of time for SSG to go for their execution. I don't know. It's done now. That's an interesting reinforcement, and he's going to get away with it. He's actually even going to get some damage out of it. Canadian eats 1 to the foot.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that really didn't work out for him there. But they did get the wall open. That's the important thing on this attack, of course, is getting that open and then trying to get the bathroom wall open. That's going to be tricky part. Wow, a lot of fire coming back against the players of SSG. Volt's taking a lot. They're really trying to fight this and actually losing a lot of HP doing this.
Yeah, I think he took that damage from Creators. It sounded like it, but it might have also been through the drone hole, and that could have been Butters as well. So, but either way, that's a lot of important damage done to Faults. He's going to lose out likely in the next gunfight unless he's hitting his headshots.
I like them using that castle barricade against them, right? So they got the castle barricade set up there. Now they only have to watch one of the windows from possible jump outs. The Claymore is there in case they get tricky and rip down the castle barricade, thinking they're going to surprise the attackers, jumping out right into a Claymore.
Sometimes the castle barricades can work for you as an attacker for sure. This time Rampy is going to be opening it up, I guess, just a little bit later than you would have expected. That's going to put more pressure on the site. Here comes the push-in, actually, and it's successful. You see the C4 hole pre-set up there, so Rampy is scared of that. He does not want to die to a C4 thrown up from pool table, so he'll call to his team that pool table needs to be clear 100% before they push into gym. So somebody from SSG is probably going to go for that push downstairs, while SSG attempts their best to get into the bathroom. They'll be successful. Wall open. Smoke spotted in the corner, and he's downed by a Rampy. There goes Dream. So far, so good for SSG's execution. They've even got flank watch inside a server. Oh, nearly a response there from Butters, but his shot just barely misses. And here we go. Bathroom control working out great for SSG. They're going to be able to push into the site and deny a retake of the gym. I'm not sure where the anchors are right now, but it looks like they've rotated into Workshop. If they're on top of that, they'll be able to stop it moving forward. From Workshop, though, Tempo can stop the push into Gym, and they'll be successful in downing Canadian at the very least, but Thinking Nade will get one, Fultz another, and there's barely response from Tempo, but it's coming out right in the nick of time. Fultz, though, will get marked from below, so no C4 from below. Crazy. The last one, UMP and a bullet's worth of HP. That's not an ideal combination. Space Station will lock that up and take yet another round.
Really well done. Again, SSG looking really well oiled. There's a few slip-ups here or there. Canadian getting down obviously wasn't planned, but there's only so much you can do when there's always access through that soft wall to be able to fire into the gym where you're going to want to plant. So that's not a huge surprise. Rampy, he actually, if you looked at his stats, he actually had 4 plants over the season so far because he is there ready as the backup. Even though he's the entry, he's ready to back up Canadian and help get that plant down if Bosco is in that position, for example. So that really helped. Obviously, you pick up Canadian and then he dies right after. Doesn't help, but he gets the diffuser. That's the important thing. And then just continually pushing them back. Butters missing a shot really didn't help as well. But it's just that well-oiled machine. Let's get their checklist. Let's get the wall open. Let's get the next wall open. Let's kill the smoke player who's trying to contest it. Every bit of congestion that they did either didn't work for the most part or just got punished. I mean, I like that they were able to get some of the shots on Fultz, for example. Had it been able to kill Fultz, that could have been a pretty big play. But because they were really not able to find anyone except for like Canadian in like the last 30 seconds on kills, their pushback was almost non-existent in that respect.
So, with that round gone, SSG's in the lead right now, and they're on the attacking side of Clubhouse. So, What does that mean? For someone uninformed, I'll just lay it out for you. That basically means Space Station have won the half. Even if this goes to 3-3, Space Station have won the half. And the reasoning for that is this is Clubhouse. And on Clubhouse, you typically want to win more defenses than attack rounds. If you can shave away 1 or 2 attack rounds, that means you're okay. 2 attack rounds is really good. But 3 attack rounds, and we're not even done yet. Like, this could be 4, for all we know. 3 attack rounds is a winning record, basically. And if you get 4, it's going to be really hard for Tempo to bounce back. Considering Tempo has only won on the basement defense, and we're going to cash, this very easily could be that 4-2.
If they could conserve these EMPs, it'll be pretty good because there's the Mute Mozzie coming out along with the Wamai. If they could save EMPs to be able to clear some of those gadgets from the roof, that would have been pretty helpful. They still have 1 left, but that will help them clear through those because that is what they're trying to do on Tempo Storm. They're bringing denial operators between the Wamai and the 2 Mute Mozzie combo.
Here's the thing, Devin. Oh, that's a really good pass.
That's one that would have been good clear.
Yeah. Here's the thing, Devin. You were advocating, like, try running, like, usage of utility, like we're seeing SSG do right on that wall, right? And I completely agree with that. I think that's necessary in bite-sized chunks. But the thing about that is, like, when you do it to that extent, you become rigid in your usage. So SSG is going to rigidly use 2 AMPs on that wall because that's what they're practicing. That's what they know they're going to need to use, or what they expect they're going to need to use. So yeah, I mean, you become rigid, but you also account for all possibilities in the case of this particular wall. So it's smart, but you need to use it in bite-sized chunks.
For sure. I mean, I don't think it was a huge blow to them to only use 2 AMPs. Obviously, it's worth the speed efficiency in the current meta, but I would just say it would have been a nicety had they had the extra EMP.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The clear utility, because you can do it from the roof, because most of the utility is going to be at that top floor level.
Absolutely agreed. If they could like just read the situation perfectly, be like, oh yeah. Anyway, I mean, here's the push in through garage, and the Rampy's looking to fight, but Mark's going to be the one to get the kill elsewhere. I think that was a run out from Strip. Can't be certain, but it certainly looks like it, considering I believe that dead body is just outside garage. A defender in garage is known. It is a Wamai. He's likely got some discs set up to catch these nades. He's been spotted. Nade goes out. No disc, and he wins the fight. Down goes your buck, but there's a response from Bosco. So at least not a complete failure there for SSG. Fultz gets 1 down in lounge. That's a big kill, as Mark was an X-Factor. Could have at any moment sprung into action, but he chose the wrong one and died while springing. Creators eats some damage, as Thinking Nade gets control of Garage. SSG in a great spot to execute here, and Fultz looking to get on a flank. He actually is free and clear to get one, and there's the second, his third for the round. Thinking Nade cleans up shop, and that's a 4-2 for the first half. Space Station in the driver's seat.
And you know, that was actually looking like a pretty good round for Tempo Storm for a while there, because the initial kills were on the Canadian, who's important getting the defuse down, and Rampy, who's important in just getting that entry, and you know how important Rampy is overall. But Fultz, as you were highlighting during the roster show earlier, Fultz is just coming up, and that's exactly what they needed, just walking inside. I love the read on that, of course, flicking over to what he knows people are top cache stairs. No hesitation at all. I've killed one. I know there's going to be a response. Let me just preempt it.
Yeah, that was a really good round from Fultz. The biggest thing for me was, honestly, his ability to get that kill down in Lounge. Winning the heads-up gunfight against Mark, the Jaeger, coming from the main door, that was probably the biggest tempo set. It put Space Station in the lead for that round, for the momentum that was being accumulated. And yeah, he got those 2 kills coming in from behind, and that's beautiful. SSG set up for that, though. You have to understand, like, they were going in through Garage. They had opened up the workshop wall. That was the plan, right? They wanted Fultz to come in from behind. The biggest thing is, yeah, okay, he got those 2 kills. The biggest thing is Tempo let him get those 2 kills. Let's be realistic. No one was watching the workshop door. And I understand, you know, the pressure's coming in from Garage. I understand you're low on time. You expect it to be a kind of a one-dimensional attack from SSG, I guess. But somebody should have been watching workshop. Fultz shouldn't have been allowed to walk in just like that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see a pretty different setup here from Space Station, something we didn't see at all from Tempo, which is a Mira Gym defense to start things out with a Vigil on the roam and a Mute to help support him. This is going to be very different, I think, but successful? Who knows? I imagine it might be if Tempo Storm aren't prepared for this.
I guess we'll find out. Right now, it's looking like a pretty easy opening of the wall. There's only a Mute, and they gonna double EMP? I mean, it doesn't even sound like they double EMP'd. I'm not really sure, but I only heard the one. Hard to tell, though, because we were on the camera for a little while there. Yeah, it's only 1 EMP. The Creator still has 2. He'll use a second to clear out things deeper in. C4 primed and ready. Nade coming into the mirror window. That's some damage done to Bosco, but not enough to get the kill. C4 goes out. And it will finish off Dream, who had been downed, I believe, through the drone hole by the Maestro of Fultz. Fultz eats a little bit of damage, though, so, I mean, he did more than he received, but he's going to be on 50 for future engagements.
This is the big problem, though. If they can't clear this player out of bathroom, this is going to be very difficult to attack.
Yeah, the mirror window really working out for Bosco so far. You know what just got me thinking, Devin? When was the last time we saw a Twitch?
It has certainly been a while, and it's not necessarily due to nerfs so much as just there's limited, attack players. You have 5 players. There's so many different parts of utility you need that it almost is just like, well, we wish we could have it, but we can't afford to.
Yeah. Would be really great for these mirror windows, but yeah, not an option. One of the mirror windows did get shot, but it's the one in cache. Butters is getting a lot of information, actually, out of that one drone. He just caught somebody in cache, the Vigil, and the Maestro in workshop. And he's going to call that out to his team, and that'll be very, again, useful info.
At this point, they're just hoping for a freebie from SSG.
Yeah, and it's not happening. In fact, it's going the other way as Randy will peek onto the south balcony. Mark not watching the window, and nobody, it seems, from Tempo watching the server wall. Usually when you're executing onto Jim, you put one person outside a server after you open the server wall to deny that window. And, well, Tempo didn't do that.
Well, at least the attack is slowed down a little bit here from Tempo. They managed to find 1 onto Rampy, but then it's traded back by 2 from Canadian and Thinking Nade.
Crazy, the last one alive for Tempo. He's got to work something, but he's not going to be able to do that. Canadian through, I believe, a bullet hole will get the final kill. And, oh no, he didn't even need the bullet holes. Yeah, no, I mean, it was a nasty angle all the same. SSG, another round. And this is looking out of control for Tempo Storm as SSG gains 1 more and 1 away from match point.
Let me be honest, I don't think Tempo are playing bad. SSG are just playing their game, absolutely doing what they feel like they want to be doing, and it's mostly working. I mean, there's a few pushbacks here and there from Tempo that are managing to work out some good kills. But overall, what they're trying to do is working. And on attack is where they struggled obviously the most with that. They're likely going to be able to do whatever they need to do on defense, because this is where you can really prep and, you get to decide how things are going to be set up, as opposed to attack where you have to improvise a little bit more. But overall, this is SSG's map, and it's showing up 100% that their map. I mean, they start on the gym defense with an unconventional setup, just showing, hey, we have everything. Like, we have all the strats we need on this map.
And that's the thing. I think everyone was kind of surprised that Tempo let Spacestation get to Clubhouse. I mean, you were talking about it in the lead-in. I was talking about it in the lead-in. I'm pretty sure most of the people who typically watch NA Pro League or even just competitive Rainbow Six and are familiar with SSG were probably very shocked that Clubhouse got into play. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, this is like, it's just such a good map for Spacestation. I mean, it's not their best, I guess. They've got other really good maps, like they're really good at Cafe, for example. I mean, they've got the best record in terms of perfection. They've won it 3 times out of 3 over the last few months, whereas they've only won.
I wonder if it was Bagel's idea, because for those of you who aren't aware, Bagel from TSM as the coach has joined Tempo Storm.
Oh yeah.
And so it could be his thinking, because I know from experience being around him, he's a very confident person in his opinions on different things, and often they can be right. But he's going to be like, okay, I'm confident we can take SSG because of this, and this on Clubhouse. I can see that realistically being a scenario. I'm not saying that's a for sure, but that is a factor possibly.
I'm sure he'll he'll probably tweet at us and tell us at some point whether it was his idea or not. But what we do know, hopefully, what we do know is that right now it's not working out very well for Tempo. They've put up some really good rounds. I especially liked their basement defense. That was looking pretty solid, to be honest. And they managed to just stop SSG cold. But apart from that, we haven't seen a lot from Tempo. Granted, we're only 2 rounds into their attacking side, so they've still got time to prove us all wrong and start winning these attacks. Cash is a very different beast than Jim. And while typically Jim is considered to be low-hanging fruit, maybe you're just better at Cash. So we'll see what happens here when the action actually starts up. Right now, an impact there from SSG, and Tempo not going to be able to get into Garage.
You don't actually see the impact tricks on the Garage all that often anymore.
No, you really don't. Dream hits a nade onto Thinking Nade, though. So that's oh wow, Dream nading Thinking Nade. There's two puns there.
Now he's not a Thinking Nade anymore, just a nade.
Oh, the Dream Nade. All right. So anyway, I'm sorry, I got lost in my stupidity. Tempo in a decent spot after that nade, so props to Dream for it. Thinking Nade has been one of the star players through this match for SSG, really putting up those kills, especially when it matters most. There's no more exothermic charges, so Dream's going to try and Maverick trick this wall. He's only going to be able to likely... Oh, no, he gets shot from below! Canadian stopping that dead, and it looks like Dream might be able to get picked up. That's a huge blow to the HP of Tempo. Rampy is getting aggressive. He knows he can possibly get a kill or 2 here. A nice shot onto Crazy, but he gets refragged. Canadian, though, will finish off Creators. So Tempo losing 1 man after another. The waiting game working out great for SSG, but too much aggression costs them 2 lives. The push in here is stopped by Canadian, who gets his second. Butters in the 1v1. He's only got 10 seconds to make this push happen. He's got to either go for the plant or go for the fight. He's going to try and stick it, but it's a fake. And the pre-fire! Butters! What a round! Tempo keep themselves in the match.
I think it's kind of funny that part of the reason they lost that round is Fultz basically stared into the sun. He flew too close to the sun in that aggression. He peeked out and you could see it. The sun just blinded him to where the player was as soon as because I think he would have seen him sooner otherwise. I mean, it's a minor thing, but it's little things like that. That aggression probably was a bit too much, as you pointed out, though, because both him and Rampy managed to get a kill and then were traded. And that was the problem. They tried to go for that second kill when they could have just pre-fired or just played time a little bit more and not forced Canadian into that 1v1 at the end.
Yeah. That was to me. That was just masterful play from Butters. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, great job on his part.
Because if he let Canadian get established on that position, he would have lost the fight. If he let Canadian get back to the top of the staircase, Canadian wins those. but he pre-fired it, so he got that headshot before Canadian could actually get into the engagement. Beautiful job to Butters, really.
Yeah, and in Canadian, you saw his indecision. He had to sprint back through his own barbed wire. While it doesn't slow him down, it does make extra noise and helps telegraph that he's coming back up those stairs. I mean, he's a 3-speed, so he doesn't make a ton of noise on his own running up them, but the barbed wire definitely can help a little bit.
Absolutely. So, we'll go to the basement. Oh, wow, look at that. 13 kills on Fultz. You know what? I think we've got a player on SSG, name might be Fultz, who's making a run for... I'm not going to say he's underrated, because he's not. He's literally a world champion. But, I don't know, like, how many times do you hear Fultz talked about as being one of those players that is just contributing as much as he is? Because he's playing, not always support roles. I mean, I think he plays Zofia, if I'm not mistaken. But he's playing that Maestro, at least, on defense. And his contribution and the kill feed is pretty significant.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, maybe he's sick of hearing Rampy's name. So maybe we need to keep saying Rampy's name just to keep Fultz like that aggressive, like hungry for those stats. Because if we start highlighting him, he'll fall off.
Nobody talk about Fultz, all right? We're putting him back in the corner.
Silent killer.
And we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. He'll probably perform better if we put him back in the corner. So, hey, so Rampy. Oh my gosh, dude.
Great job, Rampy.
#2 player overall the last year. He won that this year. That's a big award, of course. Huge victory for Rampy. I mean, world champion Rampy. Nobody else on this squad. Nobody else on SSG. Just Rampy, world champion. One of the last.
They're just enabling the other kills. He's making sure that all the other kills are because he set those up.
Yeah, Rampy drones for everyone and gets all the kills. Don't forget, all right?
It's skill.
Oh, but jokes aside, Rampy is actually an incredible player, so don't think that we're bashing on him here.
No.
Of course, yeah, there's a large array of talent all over SSG, and I gotta be impressed because of that, by the way. I mean, we are talking about SSG. Tempo is putting up a really good fight against SSG, and even if this doesn't go to a draw or a win for Tempo, and it could still be a win for Tempo, even if we don't get to that point. Tempo is impressing on a lot of these rounds, so props to them for that.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how they play when Sloppy's able to play as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, you're going to have a very different situation for sure. Your teams tend to change quite a lot. I mean, we could see in the case of E United when they finally got Alfalma. Alfalma is doing a lot for that team. Just a ton. So, the setup coming out here from Tempo. Lots of utility being cleared out. Gas canisters in response. You know, it's interesting. The gas canisters, they're even more useful these days because of how little time you typically have at the end of a round for executions. But they're kind of late, or rather early in the case of the defense, in this round in particular.
Yeah, they're really just trying to slow things down as much as they can here, but it's the guns that need to do the work on that. And if he can land all of these shots like he's trying, that's the power of the mirror window.
Fultz with the double, looking for the triple, but he gets pre-fired by Mark and shut down. Bosco, though, is there with his own double, leaving just Mark, the single man against 3 in 15 seconds. It's not going to happen. Rampy, the man himself, will clean up that final frag, and SSG put another round on the board. It'll bring us to match point.
Not a surprise, though. I mean, to be honest, but I think that was a decent round for Tempo. Obviously, trying to deal with Fultz was the big problem there. There was not a ton they could do about it, unless, say, they had another nade to push him off or something like that. But it was a good effort. There was some good trade backs in there, but it just ultimately the man count advantage, especially because of Fultz's 2K, just completely went in SSG's favor towards the end.
Yeah, Fultz's 2K followed by, what was it, Bosco's 2K, I want to say?
I think so.
Yeah.
Hard to keep track of when it goes that fast.
Yeah, and then finished off by Rampy. So yeah, I mean, props to Bosco, props to Fultz there, really putting up a large hurdle to jump over for Tempo. Fultz just unloading with that LMG up front on the mirror window. The star of the show for me is just the way that Spacestation plays it. So that's 15 kills for Fultz now. Oh boy. Oh boy. I mean, how do you fight that? That's effectively 3 whole rounds that he has won by himself.
I'd say prioritize killing him. Unfortunately, being a Maestro, he's likely to be a bit more embedded in sight.
Yeah, so I've talked to a couple teams about that, by the way, about the whole like targeting specific players, and of course you hear from like certain teams. I think it was Empire had this for one moment or another, where they were like, yeah, we're gonna target this one guy, and we can get rid of that one guy and make our jobs easier moving forward. and I've talked to other teams who will say the exact opposite. Say it's really just it's too unpredictable to try and go for one person in particular. It causes too many problems, and you're better off just playing a standard, set strat or not a set strategy necessarily, but you're better off playing as a unit and focusing on you than trying to target one person. So there's a mixed opinion from what I know on hunting a specific player down.
I would say a
you're
good
right.
hybrid approach is better, is to pay attention to, like, learn their tendencies, like have your analyst really focus on, like, breaking down some weaknesses they might have, and just know about those, but don't focus on them, right? So you have them as like extra bits of information you can use if it presents itself.
I'll be blunt about that one. I think the reason why we maybe don't see that all the time is it takes a lot of work.
Sure
It's a lot of work. Yeah, that's what the analysts are for sure. I mean, it's what the analysts and the coaches are for, to try and get that information to you. But yeah, I mean, I don't always see that because sometimes it takes too much away from the original formula of a team, and they get distracted from their actual basic intention and formula, like I said. So, real quick, tempo control of cache stairs means they can cut off the rotation. But wait a minute, did Rampy get away? Oh no, Rampy got away. He's not trapped in cache anymore. He lost some HP, but he got away. Oh, that's really bad for tempo.
Yeah, the pushing him off is great and all, but if he didn't get the kill, we know Rampy can push back.
Yeah, that's the big issue. Not a lot of time wasted on that cache hold, but again, the fact of that there was no casualty for Space Station is going to be really bad for tempo later on. Rampy will die to at least one, maybe two bullets, depending on the gun you're shooting him with. Likely one, given that it's the attackers. So that's good for future engagements against Rampy. Rampy's going to have to play cheeky to win that.
He's trying to bait them, really. He's just trying to bait them into logistics without giving them, like, really an inch to get in.
I mean, he's doing a decent job of slowing it down still. Nades are that was a nade to just clear out utility, make the push in easier, check for stuff like leech traps and barbed wire. But nothing's really coming of the actual push just yet. Tempo doesn't need to rush, though. They've got 50 seconds.
It would be good if they could find a pick, though, especially with Market low health and Crazy now dead.
Yeah, Crazy trying to push into office by himself, it seemed like, and Canadian was the one to meet him there. Rampy is still in the corner there, so that's a lot to deal with when you're pushing office. Canadian's dead, but so is Rampy. And what the heck is happening? Dream on the entry, going into office. Huge success. He'll finally be shut down by Fultz, and from below, thinking Nade will get one for himself. So now we're back to even man count, 2-on-2 in this case. But there's no sight control for SSG, and Tempo has to know this. They must cut off the staircase and go for the plant. Thinking Nade trying to get up, he'll eat some damage. Oh, barely missing the angle, and Fultz will lose out the fight to Creators. It's all on Thinking, who will also lose to Creators. A big round from him, and Tempo getting closer to that draw, keeping themselves in contention.
Ultimately, it was the successful push on the logistics that I think changed things. You had two players in logistics, Rampy continuing to try and hold that off, but because both of them lost that fight, that really changed the dynamic. And because those were the two players kind of playing the site at the moment, and because of that, because of them both being lost, site control just quickly went in favor of Tempo Storm. And then the missed opportunity from the staircase, as well as the damage being eaten, and obviously the him being seen coming up the stairs, just it left them in a position where they were actually fighting the retake and defending the site. Because there was enough time left that the players from SSG were actually trying to push back. Maybe they shouldn't have been. Maybe they should have waited till the plant was going down and it was a 2v1 instead of a 2v2. They would have been in a better position, but they just didn't seem like they had any real intel to be able to know exactly how they should play that, and just went to try and peek it maybe a little too aggressively.
Yeah, so a little bit too it's a little too much aggression from SSG costing them the round. I agree with that assessment in its entirety. That crossfire that Canadian and Rampy had in office or logistics or whatever you want to call it, that should have just single-handed, like, they should have at least traded each other out. But
yeah.
They didn't. Because Dream won both those fights, which was, big win there for Dream. Great job to him. Anyway, there was also, there's good information gathering on Tempo. We can also say that. The information hampering going on in this match is much less than we're used to seeing.
It's mostly just Rampy, really.
Combo. Yeah, and well, yeah, in that last round, I don't remember if they might have had a mute. I'm not entirely sure, but I know they didn't have a Mozzie. And that's not as much as that's not as much as we're used to seeing. Typically, the mute Mozzie comes out. Even with a Vigil as well, you can get all three of them in there. You've got choices, but not so, at least in this match for both teams. So Because that Tempo, the point I was trying to get to is that Tempo had a drone at the end there. You could tell by the way that Creators was. He had a drone in the hallway. He could tell exactly where those last two defenders were coming from. You could tell by his adjustment from pre-firing the mirror window to pre-firing the hallway right at the end in that clip. Anyway, we're into the next round, and Tempo have to win 2 more attacks to bring us to a draw.
Well, very likely that Spacestation will be able to win 1 more before then, but at the same time, like, so far, Tempo Storm's attacks have been as successful in the initial part as we saw from Spacestation, where we saw 2-2 essentially coming into those after those first 4 rounds, and this is similar, like, now there's been 2 rounds, 1 for each on this second half.
Yeah. Well, not done yet. SSG is going to give away 1 kill. That's Canadian. Peter's on a good angle watch there. We'll get that one. The reason Canadian pushed up there so brazenly is because he had the camera activated and it was probably calling out clear, not accounting for the office angle, unfortunately, for Canadian. And he's going to be gone. That's very fortunate for Tempo. Gives them some momentum in this round. They want to get this workshop wall open. Now, last time when they were trying to do this, Dream got down from the drop, but that was by Canadian, and he's no longer in play. View Jammer gets done away with by the nade and impacts in response. The second nade goes in, and it is unsuccessful in getting Rampy, so there might be continued impact tricking. But, oh, there goes Rampy to Dream. That's a big kill, as Rampy no longer able to impact trick. There might be another exothermic that I'm not entirely sure. SSG healing up Fultz. He's back in the action. There is no more exothermics as the server wall has been opened up. So that workshop wall can only be opened by Dream now. And that's not ideal. The plant was going down. I think it's been stopped now. In another attempt, there's full site control for Tempo. SSG once again have to retake their own site. It's only Bosco, and he's felled by Dream, who gets a big 4K. Tempo still in it. Going for the draw.
I gotta say, every time I've seen SSG lose a round, it's them walking into Tempo's bullets. It's not just aggression. Sometimes it's, retakes or things like that, but it's almost always Tempo just letting SSG come to them for the most part, or taking advantage of like the timing that they have. You saw that initial kill, for example, on just watching an angle. There was a couple more on just watching angles. You saw that the kill into Rampy was just, oh, hey, I know he's going to rotate. Let's just go catch him off guard. It's just they're being very smart about their angle play and where they're watching and how they're letting SSG come to them. Because SSG, when they're pushing at Tempo, are losing these fights.
Absolutely. There's also something to be said about the ill-advised rotations we're seeing a lot from SSG. So, for example, Canadian was trying to retake on the other side of the top floor early in that round, man. Like, he was trying to push up to Master with way too much time still in play. Tempo hadn't even finished clearing out Master. Like, that was not the moment.
Counting on that. He was hoping they were just going to be busy doing that still, I suppose. Okay.
I totally get it. You know what? Big boy world champion Canadian thinking that Tempo is going to have already cleared out Master at that point. And unfortunately for Canadian, they hadn't. So Tempo's being, I guess you could say, a little behind, though I wouldn't say it was too inefficient. They're being in that position got them an early kill on a Canadian, right? And then they follow that up with several picks into sight, basically unanswered by SSG. For example, Rampy trying to rotate by server. I mean, I don't know if I would have, you could call that ill-advised. You could definitely call that a bad decision by Rampy. And these ill-advised rotations, whether they be on or off site, and the Tempo's ability to just sit on the angle and be ready for it, that's what won them that round, really.
Yeah.
They lost SSG lost site control before they even got to fight for it.
Well, let's see if they learned from their mistakes in the previous rounds. It was good to see, too, when the scoreboard was up that Mark was actually doing quite well. He was in the double digits with another of his team members, as he had bottom fragged last match. So good to see that he's able to pick it up today. And I think that's part of their success. Is I know we've been highlighting like Dream and creators and things like that, but Mark definitely deserves some credit for stepping up his game today. And SSG, just making too many mistakes on their defenses. Defense was traditionally where they were really strong on this map especially, and they were often playing that Mute Mozzie Vigil combo. Maybe falling off of that and playing a little too aggressive is really working against them here, because this is not traditionally why they're so successful.
We should talk about the fact that if this turns out to be a draw, then, I mean, if anything, that's just really, truly impressive for Tempo. Like, as much as you can claim a mistake on SSG's part for some things, like that last round, I mean, if you're drawing SSG on a map, on Clubhouse, which is their map, if you're drawing them on Clubhouse, that's just impressive. It's Straight up impressive, and even coming within one round of possibly drawing them. I've been impressed by Tempo Storm.
Yeah, they've been doing a good job of it. And again, that's why I wonder if they thought, well, we could counter-strat some of what SSG do, or we feel confident knowing how they play it, so we're going to try and take them to it. I mean, if they can bring this to a draw, that's a pretty big deal for Tempo Storm.
Absolutely. So, 1 minute left for Tempo to get the execution down. They haven't gotten control of much of anything just yet. They do have an open hole into Arsenal, so they can go for an Arsenal push if they get the kitchen drop open. I believe that kitchen drop is already opened, so that should be an accessible avenue for Tempo, but they have to get at least one pick near Arsenal before they go for that execution. Also, 2 players in church, 1 in blue for SSG, so the retake is an option for SSG. It looks like it'll be a tunnel, blue, and kitchen drop pinster strategy for Tempo. They're going to be taking control of blue. They will lose the initial fight to Canadian, who gets one miraculously. Thinking Nade's eaten a lot of damage by blue, but he's still alive, as is Rampy. And he's a doc, so he can actually do some healing after getting crazy. Free Fire works for creators as Thinking Nade goes down. Butters is in church. Who's holding these angles? At least there's a refrag for SSG, but it's still not all peaches and roses as Tempo has site control. Rampy fighting back more from tunnel, and he's got that diffuser. It's Space Station taking the round on diffuser control, and as a result, the match.
That's 2 draws in a row for us now, so it's definitely been very tight in North America today. Really impressive from Canadian and Rampy in there at the end. Just literally dug into the dirt tunnel. It's funny that Tempo tried to do the same thing that didn't work for SSG, which is throw that nade around the corner and come around swinging. That failed for both teams. That's just not the play. Tried to send the solo man into dirt tunnel thing. It's a cool idea, but it just clearly didn't work for either team. And ultimately, at the end of the day, actually, I'm sorry, that's not a tie. What am I saying? It was a win by 2 points there for SSG because they won the last one, but that very, very nearly could have been a draw.